Welcome to the Sports Lounge, brought to you by the Sportsbook at Waterview Casino in Vicksburg.
Welcome into the Sports Lounge. I'm Jon Wiener.
And I'm Ray Coleman. Coming up in the lounge, we're going to talk NBA playoff surprises, and Russell Wilson gets paid.
Big time bucks, NFL's richest. We got some big developments here in Mississippi. Mississippi State baseball surgeon, new coach for Southern Miss basketball. We're going to deep dish with our guy ISO Joe, bring in the ISO Cam. NFL draft just a week away. And Ray, in honor of Tiger Woods, a GOAT edition. All GOATs, table for two.
Can't wait. But listen, we got to also get back to the winning ways. I'm back in the building, so we got to have a game time. I know MacKenzie represented me well, but I got to give you the L myself. I know she substituted, but I got to take care of you myself.
That's old news. But again, big shout out to MacKenzie. Did a great job filling in last week. She eked out a game of Skee-Ball. It was close enough, but it was an L nonetheless. Wait till you see we got cooked up this week. A little something simple, an absolute classic. So this is the Sports Lounge. We're hosted by Waterview Sportsbook and Casino. It is good to see you back in the lounge.
I'm glad to be back, man. I'm glad to be back. Took a week off, had to go do the State's work, but glad to be back in the lounge with my guy for sure, man.
Well, when you were working this weekend and tornadoes out in Mississippi, obviously the big story around the country, around the world, Tiger Woods wins his 15th major, his 5th Masters. You know, it's third. You know, we're later in the week at this point, but Ray, it was one of the great moments in sports history. Just your emotions and kind of what you saw watching it.
You know what I always say, man? I'm a casual golf fan, but the reason I'm even casual is because of Tiger Woods and what he did in the first half of his career is what I'm going to call it. What he did on Sunday was unbelievable. First time, I believe that he's ever gone into the final round trailing to go on to win. Incredible. I was on the edge of my seat. Yes, I was working, but I'll be lying to you if I didn't say my TV was on that channel watching from start to finish, man. It was incredible. Made me watch from start to finish. That shows you the kind of juice that Tiger Woods brings to the game. Yeah,
it captured sort of everything that Tiger Woods was about and, in every way kind of returned to this golfing god that we've gotten so used to for so long. But the comeback is almost old news, you know what I mean? So now the conversation is back on in terms of Tiger chasing Jack Nicklaus. And for a while it was a foregone conclusion that Tiger would catch him. And then it was the other way, Ray, that this wasn't even a conversation anymore. But is this a real talking point now?
So I hate to be an extremist because, like you said, you say, oh yeah, he's going to do it with the pace that he's on. Excuse me. Then you say, no, he's not. Man, I just feel like a weight has been lifted off of his shoulders now. He's been looking for that one major to get himself back on track. The way he was locked in, you always knew he had the confidence, but I really do feel like with what he has left in the tank and what he showed us, I think he can do it. Now, will he do it? That's one thing, but I absolutely think he has the tools right now to get it done.
I think you're spot on. I think as Ricky Fowler said after the Masters, he said, look, 15 was always going to be the hardest. Once he got over the hurdle to come and contend, and then he got over the hurdle to go win, which he did last year, then he was ready to win a major championship. And now you say he's ready to win a lot of them. He's healthy. He looks like the best player in the world in terms of the way that he played. So, I think the race and the chase to catch the Golden Bear is back on big time.
So Tiger's back on the championship track. A team that could be on the championship track is Mississippi State baseball, man. One of the best teams, if not the best team in all of America. What are your thoughts on Mississippi State as they start to make this run, man?
I think they might be the best team in America. And, when you really look at what Mississippi State has done in college baseball this year to only lose one series. I mean, let's face it, they're 31-6. They're ranked in the top 3 of nearly every poll. They're atop the SEC. The way that they bounced back after the LSU loss to win 2 out of 3 against Tennessee, and they beat the brakes off of Alabama last weekend. I mean, the poor Crimson Tide had no shot at Duty Noble Field against Mississippi State. But when you look at the completeness of this team, that's why I say, they're not only an Omaha team, I think they're a College World Series frontrunner. I think you might even say Mississippi State is the favorite right now in college baseball. I know that UCLA and Oregon State are up above them, some strong Pac-12 schools. But what stands out to me, Ray, is they hit. They're the best hitting team in the SEC by a ways, like 20 points. They're the number 1 slugging team in the SEC. So they not only hit, they hit for power and they drive in runs. And then they're pitching the ball great. 3 of their top 5 starters are in the top 5 in wins. You look at the opponent's batting average, third in the SEC. So when you're number one in hitting and then you're like almost number one in how they hit against you, Mississippi State is a complete baseball team. They're a powerhouse.
You're not on the same page. So you gave the team side. I'm going to give the individual side, right? 6 guys batting .290 or better.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's outstanding.
Right?
1 through 9 they rake.
And then your best hitter is batting .400. I mean, so at this rate, we're talking about a team that you can't take a series, a pitch off with these guys because they'll hurt you. So we got the batting out of the way. When we're talking about the pitching, we got Peyton Plumlee, JT Ginn, Ethan Small.
Yeah.
335, 335, and then, by
top
the way.
5 guys in ERA.
And by the way, 183.
In ERA
so
in the SEC. Yeah.
Most teams have 1 ace. 2, you're thankful. These guys have 3 aces. So they got it on the hitting side and the pitching side. I don't know if there's a team out there that can match up on paper with Mississippi State. Obviously, the game is not played on paper. We'll see what it holds later on, man.
You and I have seen covering college baseball in this state for a long time. You need it all in the NCAAs.
Absolutely.
You need a bullpen in the regionals. You need starters in the super regionals. And you got to be able to hit over the course of 2 weeks, when you get to Omaha. When you look at the NBA playoffs happening, Ray, we've talked about it a lot, like building up to the playoffs. I know you and I are big hoops head, big NBA fans. There's been some surprising developments in the first round. I don't know if we'll say upsets brewing, but some surprising results, I would say, to say the least.
I'll let you have the Clippers and the Warriors. I'll let you have that one.
All
because
right,
I want to speak on one that I was completely wrong about. Dude, the Brooklyn Nets are legit. Even though they lost in Game 2, the way that they performed in Game 1 and competed in Game 2, as a road team, you just want to steal one, right? You just want to steal one, get back over to your home place, and then, play in the comforts and in the friendly confines. Brooklyn's got it all, man. They have good wing players.
Yeah.
They got a go-to guy in D'Angelo Russell. They play excellent defense. They got a great head coach that comes from the Popovich tree.
Yeah.
They got everything that you need, man. And going up against a team that is a favorite, Brooklyn's playing with house money, and they don't fear these guys, which is why they absolutely dominated Game 1 and gave them a run for the money in Game 2.
I think some of that has to do with the 76ers and the inconsistency
That's
that
true.
they have.
That's
Now,
true.
Brooklyn, again, they're an example of the East being deeper than it's ever been.
That's right.
And D'Angelo Russell being a marquee guy who can really hurt you. I will say this about the Clippers and the Warriors. Like, is LA going to win the series? No. But to go into Golden State, outshoot them the way that they did. Now DeMarcus Cousins is on the shelf. Not that Cousins was a part of the equation.
Sure.
I'm not saying this series is going to stay interesting, but at the very least, I think the Clippers showed that the Warriors are there for the taking. Is that maybe fair to say?
No, that's
or they
absolutely
can be taken?
It's absolutely fair to say. With the Warriors, 4 Hall of Famers, and if you want to count Boogie, depending on how his career goes moving forward, that's 5 Hall of Famers.
He's not, but he's a great player.
Right? The Clippers don't have an all-star.
But they do have Sweet Lou.
But they do have Sweet Lou, the man who I want. Nah, whatever. Look, at the end of the day, the Clippers, they put forth a weakness that the Warriors have.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes they just take games off. Now, you can do that with the Clippers, but as you get deeper into the playoffs, you can't do that with the Houston Rockets. You cannot do that with the Portland Trail Blazers, because at the end of the day, if you do, then you'll find yourself in a 6-7 game series where you're on the ropes.
The Portland-Oklahoma City series is certainly interesting. We'll see if the Blazers can eke through in that 3 seed. And Rockets-Warriors shaping up, we'll think.
I know.
We see in round 2. So, that's going to be exciting. Russell Wilson staying around, man, real quick. And we're going to have a look kind of at NFL free agency, the offseason, and the NFL draft in our deep dish coming up with ISO Joe Simeone. We're excited to go to the ISO cam.
Yeah,
I love the ISO cam. The people love the ISO cam. Russell Wilson gets paid, man. He's the richest in NFL history right now in terms of the richest in the league. He's the top paid player. Is he deserving of being the highest paid player in the NFL?
I'll just put it like this. Quarterbacks obviously are paid at a premium. It just comes with the position. That's the blessing of playing the quarterback position. If you take Russell Wilson away from the Seahawks, they're not just a mediocre team. They're a really bad team. There are way too many games where the game plan is trash and Russell Wilson gets them to the win. 3 quarters of garbage, and then Pete Carroll says, Russ, we need you to handle this one. And he does. He does it time and time again. So absolutely, he's worth it. 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win. He's making $2 million more dollars than Aaron Rodgers, who I think is the best quarterback in the league for the money.
Yeah.
But his credentials overmatch Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to push back on all of that.
Okay.
I couldn't disagree more with what you're saying. First of all, what's interesting on the list is you look at the top 5 quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, nice. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, they've won as many playoff games as me and you and Josh the Juice in here. You know what I mean? I think the 2 best quarterbacks in the league are Drew Brees and Tom Brady. It's been that way for a decade, and it's still that way now. They're not a part of that list. But Brees and Brady is the difference in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has never established himself as an NFL quarterback without that great Seahawks defense around him. Now, I know that they are starting too, but everything that Russell Wilson has won, everything he's built in Seattle has been playing complementary football with that defense. Drew Brees and Tom Brady, I mean, you throw anybody out there. Receivers, defense, it doesn't matter. So this is not a question of like who is the best quarterback in the league. Part of it was like Russell Wilson making his power play, you know what I mean, to get paid. But I push back sometimes on like Russell Wilson being the guy that will carry your team and a franchise guy like a Brady and a Brees. Like, I don't see it.
I've seen him do it, though. That's the thing. Even this past season, he led that team, and you can't tell me he's got a 1A receiver.
No,
Doug
it's
Baldwin's not a 1A receiver.
They're evolving from that.
He doesn't have a running back. I mean, he is literally the running back. He's not. So at the end of the day, we're talking about a guy that don't look at it so much as who's the best quarterback. Think of it as the quarterback that brings the most value to his team. And I'm telling you, there's no other quarterback in this league that brings more value to his franchise than Russell Wilson. And
Seattle has essentially said that and kind of letting all the defensive guys go, and they've turned the franchise over in a way, you know, Pete Carroll even himself to Russell Wilson. Speaking of the franchise, he's Ray Coleman back with us in the Sports Lounge. I'm Jon Wiener. We got David Brent still to come later in the show with at Augusta, so can't wait to recap that. Coming up on the other side of the break, all GOAT edition of Table for Two, and we're going to bring ISO Joe in and look deep dish at the NFL draft. This is the Sports Lounge.
You are in the Sports Lounge. Follow us online at Bash Brothers Media and share, like, and follow the show to enter to win a one-night stay for 2 at Waterview.
Hanging out in the Sports Lounge, he's Jon Wiener. I'm Ray Coleman. We got Hack and Hank behind the camera. We got Juice Clegg on the ones and twos.
Like it.
And we got ISO Joe for the deep dish.
And I want to give a big shout out to one more person who's not with us, but is here with us in spirit and has inspired so much of so many of us spiritually for so long. Big shout out to the guy Mike Sands. I know so many people, hold up the You Fight, We Fight.
That's right.
Team Sands bracelets. Mike's great friend of the program. Got some even worse health news this week. He's leaving Jackson, going back to Philadelphia to focus. And so, Mike, we're fighting with you, man.
Love you,
and
brother.
Everybody keep Mike in your thoughts and prayers. So I'm glad y'all are with us here in the Sports Lounge. We still got game time to come. We're going to play Jenga.
Yeah,
you ready?
Never played Jenga before, so you may have the home court advantage on this.
You've never played Jenga?
Or the home board advantage, whatever we want to call it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm just doing what I can to get a W, man. Like, we're just going to start rigging it all up. But Jenga still to come. David Brand as well. And putting money where our mouth is. I'm 4-0 right now. 4-0.
It's your game.
On the year.
I'm a terrible gambler, which is why I don't do it. So
Let's bring in ISO Joe right now and get into our deep dish. And Joe, we're 1 week away today from, I know what is probably your favorite time of year, the NFL draft.
Oh yeah, you know I'll be locked into it. I'm excited.
When you talk about just sort of the big storylines that have happened in the offseason so far here in the NFL, kind of how would you frame it up if you could, or sum it up?
I mean, every year I think the NFL is getting more and more exciting in the offseason, and that starts with a lot of the player drama that's been developing. You know, you look at the story that broke about Aaron Rodgers, his reaction to it, but move-wise, you know, you have the AB trade, the Odell Beckham trade. Russell Wilson gets signed for monster money.
Yeah.
People are getting franchise tag like DeMarcus Lawrence and then holding out until they get that contract. So it's a lot of interesting moves that have been going on this offseason that kind of make it more like almost like a reality show to watch.
Doesn't it feel like there's more trades and just kind of player movement in the NFL these days? And I think your team, the Cowboys, is a good example of it. Now, they won't have a first-round pick coming up in the draft, but we all know what that was about.
Yeah, it was to bring in some star-studded talent in Amari Cooper, man. So you have to take those risks where you can. You know, he's a young guy that can affect the team in a positive way long-term, but you give up a pick in the process. So we're out in the first round, right? So I don't have anything to look forward to besides hoping that the NFC East doesn't pick anybody good. My hope is that nobody picks guys like DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown. All right, so Joe, talk about some of those Mississippi kids, man, that could you be making some noise and kind of shocking the world in that first round.
Yeah, there's a lot of special kids from Mississippi coming out this year, and namely, DK Metcalf and Montez Sweat are your big two that are going to be going most likely in the top half of that first round.
So is that where we are right now, that Metcalf and Sweat are sort of a consensus 1-2 from this group that includes A.J. Brown and Jeff Simmons and
I think it's possible that we could see up to about 4 or 5 go in the first round, but if you're talking early first, I think Sweat and DK Metcalf are your guys. I could see Jeffrey Simmons going. Sure. I could also see Jonathan Abram and, like you said, A.J. Brown. Yeah. So those are some names to also watch. But DK and Sweat really have an interesting storyline behind them because Sweat has a heart condition, as we know. We saw last year Maurice Hurst fell all the way down to the 4th round because of that. He was a first-round talent. So it's possible that Montez Sweat could fall, but when you look at his combine time and his tape, I don't see a reason really for it to affect him. And then on the other side, of course, DK Metcalf, a very polarizing player. You see his tape, you see what he can do when he's running in a straight line. But how well is that going to translate to the NFL? And I think that has teams concerned.
Totally agree, man. So, Cowboys, Saints, Colts.
Yeah.
Right? I'm out.
Yeah.
So I'm out in the first round at least. But for you, what are you looking forward to? I know you guys don't have a first either, but
Sure.
what are you looking to as far as the draft goes?
Well, I think, the Saints need some depth and they need some help, I think, again, still on the defensive line because it feels like you can never have enough defensive linemen. I think they're pretty set on the offensive side. You need another receiver. I mean, it feels like somehow you have the same needs for the Saints as they've had, you know what I mean, in terms of bringing in a receiver opposite Michael Thomas and fighting a pass rush. It's so much about the pass rush in the NFL and being able to block the passers and give your quarterback time to throw. Joe, your Colts, by the way, in that picture right behind him, chasing Tracy Porter to the end zone. They're a team that's really come into play with Jeff Simmons talk because of where the Colts are picking, kind of late in the first, but then again early in the second round, and A.J. Brown also.
Yeah, the Colts are a very interesting team, and you talk about the Saints and the Cowboys, and it's interesting because they go out and make a couple splashes in free agency. Colts have done nothing. Yeah. But then you also look, Saints and Cowboys, no first-round picks. Colts have 3 in the top 60. So that's where things get interesting because, you talk about A.J. Brown, Jeffrey Simmons, Montez Sweat if he falls. Yeah. All of these players are in play for the Colts and have been visiting and doing, meetings with the training staff and with the coaches to really get to see,
And where are the Colts? They pick early in the second round, like 34.
They pick at 26, 34, and I believe, 58 as well. So they have 3 picks in really good positions. So when you're talking about the 26th and the 34th, that's where I would expect Jeffrey Simmons and A.J. Brown to go. And even Jonathan Abram. Those are 3 guys that I would absolutely love to see in the Colts.
And Ray, you know as well as I do, that's what I mean from watching. You talk about Metcalf and Sweat. I mean, you know how good A.J. Brown and Jeff Simmons are. I'm like, man, if the Colts get either of those cats in the early second round.
Crazy. And the thing is, for Mississippi, these guys that he's mentioned, so much talent. If Jeffrey Simmons falls that far, somebody's going to get a franchise-changing player.
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
A franchise-changing player. For the Cowboys, it's simple. We're in a spot where for the first time in a while we've had a luxury to make a pick that maybe you don't need to have an impact right away. And what
because
I mean
they've built a strong roster.
They built a strong roster, so you may be able to try and go and get depth at the running back spot so Zeke doesn't have to carry it 500 times, right? You may want to go and get defensive back help.
Dak spin it, man.
Yeah, I know. I would love to have Jonathan Abram. I'll be quite honest with you, because that's the one weakness I think the Cowboys truly have is in the defensive backfield. And if we could get a guy like Abrams, man, to come in and just solidify that back end, sky's the limit for the boys, man. But talking about Jerry Jones, he can screw it up. He can make it look good, but he can screw it up at the same time. But that comes in the second round. Like I said, first round's out of the picture.
That's your deep dish on the NFL draft here in the Sports Lounge. Encourage you to check out ISO Joe's Where Will They Land series. No better time here in Mississippi to do a Where Will They Land post. You talked about 4, maybe 5 first-round picks, certainly 6, 7 guys that are going to be big names in the draft to pay attention to. So pay attention to that. Okay, table for two time in honor of Tiger Woods winning his 5th Masters, his 15th major. We've got an all GOAT edition. GOATs, every sport, sidelines. We may even take it to the movie screen.
Yeah.
So Joe, what do you got?
Well, you guys know the rules, but I'll just rehash them really quick for our viewers. You know, you get 3 choices. You pick 2 at your table that you want. So, like you said, GOAT edition, we're going golfers first. Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer.
I'll go first. I'll go first because you're the golf guy. I'm going to let you finish it up. I got to go Tiger Woods because, like I said, he let me get back. Not back. He invited me into the sport.
Yeah.
And then I got to go Jack Nicklaus because he's the guy that Tiger's chasing.
Sure.
And these are the 2 guys that, before I even knew anything about golf, they educated me on the game. So what about you?
I would go with the same 2 guys. You hate to leave the king out of your table. And when you talk about the king and Arnold Palmer, like that's the argument for Arnold Palmer in terms of his larger-than-life stature, right? In terms of the things that he did outside of the game to grow the game.
Sure.
But if you're talking golf goats and you got a table for 2, there's only 2 guys who can be there. It's Tiger and Jack.
I respect your choices, but give me that Arnold Palmer drink all day, any day.
You can put a vodka in and make it a John Daly, man. I'm drinking those all weekend. You like that, right? You never
That's
thought
pretty
of that?
good, man. That's
All
pretty
weekend
good.
over at Bash Brothers.
All right, next up we got the basketball goats.
Just add vodka.
LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell.
If anybody in this room says anything other than Michael Jordan, first of all, get out. So that's the first thing.
I was waiting on that.
That's the first thing. I'm going to shock you a little bit, man. I'm going Bill Russell. I'm going Bill Russell because of what he meant to the game. When we're talking about integration and him being a player coach, all of those things, I think that carries huge value. And I'm just not a huge LeBron fan, so I'm going Michael Jordan and Bill
It can't
Russell.
be about your fandom all
Yes,
the
it
time.
can. It's table for 2. I get this.
That's what I mean. We're in the sports lounge, man. Like, we're not on the Associated Press. I'm going to surprise you and agree with you also and leave LeBron
Is that right?
out of the table for 2 and welcome in Michael Jordan and Bill Russell. I'm with you. Like, you got to go MJ. There's no argument there. I'm not one that, like, counts championships.
Sure.
But when Bill's got 11 and LeBron's got 3, and you talk about, like, his stature in the game, I just think every time Bill got there, they won.
Yep.
And the Celtics didn't have to play, I think, the same level of competition and depth in the NBA. And again, like, I love LeBron.
Yeah.
I think if you were to talk about, like, greatest players of all time, he's no lower than 3.
No question. No question.
But I'm with you, Ray. I think the championships have a lot to do with it, but also 6-0 for Jordan, 11-0 for Bill Russell, both sort of icons and pioneers of the game in their own right. Shocker, table for 2,
Okay.
both sides.
I thought we were going to disagree, but
LeBron's
okay.
not a part of it.
We're going to split right here.
All right, next up we got wrestlers, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, and Ric Flair.
Woo! Not a part of the table for 2. See what I did? That was bad. But yeah, no, you're leaning up.
Let me make sure I get back into my proper position.
No, I'm gonna as great as Ric Flair was in the ring and a big like The Rock for me was like Tiger for you and golf. Rock for me in wrestling. When you look at like Dwayne Johnson and the character that he had and the charisma that he had and the career that he's moved on to because of that, I'm gonna go with The Rock. And Hulk Hogan has to be, I think, still like the most iconic wrestler of all time. Ric Flair, great, had the but Nature Boy's not a part of this, man. Give me the Hulk and give me The Rock.
Let me tell you something, man. So The Rock, absolutely, man. The Rock, just because I always liked his flair. I like the way that he took the WWE to another level. You gotta go Ric Flair, man. I mean,
My man.
I love.
Give it 2 times to Ric Flair.
Come on. Woo!
Yeah.
I love Hulk Hogan, obviously. He's a legend, man. He is the legend. But when you're talking about bringing swag to the sport of wrestling,
I overthought this.
and you can't not have Ric Flair. Ric Flair went from being a bad guy to a good guy to a bad guy to a good guy, and you loved him either way. That was the whole
You're
write-up
right, and
of
the
Ric
Hulk
Flair.
was like corny.
Yeah,
and
it was like,
kinda,
I am a real. Well, we're all Americans, dude. You know?
No, you're right.
It's
You're
Ric
right.
Flair, and you know you want to live that Ric Flair life. Come on, man.
Now that I'm thinking, like, actually at the table to come in the sports lounge, it should be The Rock and Rick. Like,
There we go,
Hogan's
man.
corny, but now I gotta stick to my guns, man. But yeah, I'd probably need a redo on that one. Ric Flair is pretty great. Yeah, you're right, right.
Let's talk guys with a little less flash, but a lot of success. And this is coaches, Bill Belichick, Greg Popovich, and Nick Saban.
The hardest one that
So difficult.
The
and these
hardest
are
one,
3
no doubt.
coaches who are still coaching today, who all have a claim to the GOAT, certainly the greatest of our eras.
It's funny to me because the two guys that I don't like, that I despise, I picked them.
Okay.
So Belichick and Nick Saban is what I'm going with.
Okay.
I can't stand Nick Saban, and I can so thankfully say that now that I don't work in the media anymore because he's a jerk.
Not like the rest of those guys are just like rosy, friendly.
But Popovich is different. His is more just to make you uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Belichick, he's just dry on purpose. But those two guys, man, they're just the best at what they do. They never lose when they get a little bit. But at the end of the day, those are the two best, and that's why I chose them.
This is so difficult when you talk about Belichick and Popovich and Nick Saban. But here's why I'm going to go with the pro guys, Belichick and Popovich, and leave Nick Saban out. Is that in pro sports, especially when you look at where Greg Popovich won, is San Antonio. Yeah. It's not a team with any tradition, and it's a low-market team. When you look at where Bill Belichick wins, New England, not a team with tradition, low-market team. Nick Saban's at Alabama. And you have so many more factors above you that you don't control in play in the college level. Now, what Nick Saban has done at the college level, he's the greatest college coach of all time, bar none. Like, there's no question about that. But what makes it the pro guys for me, Belichick and Popovich and Nick Saban, is like what they had to work with around them. I know Belichick had Tom Brady and Popovich had Tim Duncan. Like Saban has had, you know what I mean, like Josh the Juice playing quarterback sometimes, and he still wins a national championship. But I just think like that's the breaker for me. You know, is that Saban it's hard to separate all the way like from Alabama when Popovich and Belichick, like they have built everything that is San Antonio and New England.
Pop's the man. He's my guy.
All right, last one coming up. It's fictional characters. We got Willie Beeman, Bobby Boucher, and Air Bud.
This one's so easy. Why are you laughing?
I don't think it's good. Like, how did Air Bud make it in there?
First of all, my name is Willie.
Willie Beeman.
So that alone puts him in the list, right? That's going to happen.
All right.
Bobby Boucher, man, every time I watch that movie, I'm in tears laughing from start to finish. So I'm going Willie Beeman, Bobby Boucher. Love dogs, but Air Bud's gotta miss this one.
I'm gonna show some love to my guy Air Bud and keep him in the table for two. Hold on, stay with me now. Like, between those three, Willie Beeman, Bobby Boucher, and Air Bud, like I want the supernatural powers, man. Air Bud can fly, and like Bobby Boucher can jump over the line. You know what I mean? I mean, Willie Beeman for all of
Willie was a backup.
Willie was a backup. He's a me guy. He's a malcontent. You know what I mean? He's like making music videos. I want that on my team, man. Give me the good, wholesome dog who's gonna go up and snatch on you, and give me the linebacker from the Bayou who's gonna have 70 tackles and 17 sacks. Like, who wouldn't want those guys? I love Willie Beeman.
That may be the best one of all, to be quite honest with you.
Air Bud making an appearance, but it would just moss on your ass. Absolutely love it. Table for two in the Sports Lounge. He's ISO Joe, Ray Coleman. I'm John Wiener, hanging out with Hack and Hank, and Josh the Juice Clegg, our audio tech. Stay with us. David Brent from the Associated Press, coming back from Augusta National, joining us in the Sports Lounge next. You're in the Sports Lounge. We're hosted by Waterview Sportsbook and Casino. ISO Joe, Hack and Hank, Josh the Juice, alongside television's own Ray Coleman. I'm John Wiener. Happy to welcome into the Sports Lounge right now special guest, fresh off of the Masters at Augusta National, David Brent with the Associated Press. David, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Pretty darn good after that golf tournament. That was quite a week, quite a finish, and for my first golf major wasn't a bad one.
David, how would you describe the scene and the feel of things on Sunday afternoon with Tiger stalking to one of the great moments in sports history?
I mean, it's what you said, one of the great moments in sports history, certainly in golf history. Everybody, I think it doesn't happen if you do this long enough. Like, there's not many times in your career where as a sports writer or as a fan for that matter, you're in an atmosphere where you realize something really special is taking place. And I think everybody felt that, pretty much from about the 12th hole on where, when Molinari went into the water, Tiger really got into contention at that point. And the leaderboard just going up and down, the drama, the suspense. And then, Tiger goes ahead those last couple holes and, just a real, a festive atmosphere, kind of, you know what I mean? Like everyone was in a good mood except for maybe Francesco Molinari, but everybody else. I mean, even guys like Xander Schauffele and some of the guys that finished 4th, 5th, 6th. I mean, even they were a little bit starstruck by what had happened. They knew that was a special day for golf.
Dave, I think about some of the events that you've covered. John and I, we've covered events with you, whether it be SEC football or basketball, but then you've also gone on to cover.
I mean, it's big game, Brent.
I mean, come on, man. So you've gone on to cover the Olympics now, the Masters. Where does Augusta rank on your list of events that you've covered?
I was thinking about that. It's probably top 3 or 4, and in some ways it's number 1. I covered the NFC Championship game, Saints-Vikings, before they went to the Super Bowl and went on to win it. That atmosphere was incredible in New Orleans. I would put the Masters kind of 1A, 1B with that. The opening ceremonies in Pyeongchang were pretty incredible just because, there was the North Korean cheerleaders and Mike Pence and, just sort of the optics of that from a world stage. But, all those things are awesome in their own way. So I think that, it's definitely top 3 or 4 like that. As far as a college game, probably that Ole Miss Alabama football game, where they tore down the goalposts and Katy Perry stage diving afterwards and stuff like that. That was, that's up there too. So, but I mean, as far as Tiger Woods, the story with him, 11 years without a major. I mean, it's hard. That's up there. Either top 3, definitely.
Me and Katie actually hung out that night in Oxford.
Is that a true story?
No, it's not true at all.
Wow.
David, before we bring it back to some big stories here in Mississippi, I just ask you to weigh in, having seen the big cat for 4 days, Thursday to Sunday. You've watched him his whole career like we have. Is the chase for Jack's 18 back on? Is that a legitimate conversation right now?
Yeah, I don't see why not at this point. He beat a loaded field at the Masters, and, it wasn't like everybody just handed it to him. He had to go out there and play well. And beat some guys like, I know Molinari hit some bad shots, but Brooks Koepka was coming, and Dustin Johnson was in there, and there were a lot of good players playing pretty well, and Tiger took that tournament. So obviously Jack won his last one at age 46. Tiger's 43. With all the advancements in medicine and keeping your body right, there's no reason that Tiger can't be in the hunt for at least another 5 years or so. And obviously that depends on health and everything. But, if he stays reasonably healthy, I think he's in the mix for at least a few more years.
David, before we let you go, just real quick, college baseball here in Mississippi. I mean, Mississippi State dominating. They're ranked 3 in the country. They lead the SEC in wins in almost really every statistical category on the hitting side and even on the pitching side. What's going to keep this group from making the Omaha run?
Boy, that's a good – I mean, they're good. They're really good. It's as complete of a baseball team that I've seen in this state, from a pitching, a hitting, veteran leadership, guys who have been there before. I mean, the only thing that could keep them from doing it is basically what Ron Polk says. That's baseball. Yeah. Sometimes teams get cold and it doesn't work out. That's happened to really good baseball teams. Some of those Vanderbilt and LSU teams that have been loaded have just, in a super regional situation or something like that, just have a couple bad days. So, but I think this team is as well equipped to handle those ups and downs of just about any team that's ever come through, at least in my time, the last 12, 15 years or so covering baseball here. So stuff happens, but I think this team is in a really good position going into the last month or so of the season.
David Big Game Brent with the Associated Press. Get him on Twitter at David Brent AP. Ray covered the biggest game of them all.
It's unbelievable.
This past weekend in Augusta. So, David, thanks for sharing your perspective, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely, guys. No problem. Take care.
David Brent, always great stuff, and appreciate David for joining. What a cool experience. And I mean, it's Big Game Brent, like you said, but to get to go to cover the Masters for the first time and Tiger Woods wins it.
I mean, if you ask him, hey, what's your dream scenario in covering your first Masters tournament? I'd probably be, I'd like to see Tiger Woods win it while I'm there. And it happens, man. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine, him having to keep his professional composure, which Dave is the ultimate professional.
Absolutely.
But to watch Tiger, make the move.
But what's so funny this weekend is no one, like, people forgot about that. Like, this whole the shroud of professionalism and objectivity. Like, people, including myself, journalists, golf, openly rooting for Tiger Woods because it was a story, Ray, that was such bigger than golf. It wasn't about, it was human interest. You know, like he says in American Gangster about the fight. This isn't boxing. This is politics.
That's right.
Like that's it. Tiger. It was the world narrative. It was a human story.
And it's absolute redemption for Tiger. And I think we all can kind of find a little bit of ourselves in that where you're down and you're kind of having that mental block trying to break through. And he did that. And you saw Tiger be focused from start to finish. And for David to be able to experience that on his first Masters, man, I mean, that's something he can tell his kids, his grandkids, you know, whoever that will listen about it.
David's seen a lot. And so when you talk about Mississippi State baseball, for him to say one of the most complete teams and best college baseball teams that he's covered, the statistics back it up when you watch Mississippi State play with the flash at the top and Mangum, the power bats in the middle, JT Ginn, Ethan Small, you said it. I mean, surefire studs. Really good baseball team. I'm glad. It looks like we'll see it, and it always is in this state. Plenty to pay attention to in college baseball as the postseason rolls into play. I gotta get some wins up to get to the postseason here in game time.
You do, but it sounds like you've loaded the deck by bringing up a game that I've never played before, so we'll see what happens.
I mean, I don't exactly like spend my nights and weekends like playing on the Jenga board, but we're about to next. Jenga coming up in game time in the Sports Lounge.
You are in the Sports Lounge. Follow us online at Bash Brothers Media and share, like, and follow the show to enter to win a one-night stay for two at Waterview.
Game time in the Sports Lounge. I'm 1-3 on the year. MacKenzie stepped in last week, and it was a sudden death game of Skee-Ball.
Yeah.
It was sudden death.
She came through in the clutch. She's obviously Team Ray. MacKenzie, I appreciate you.
Yeah, and we got a simple classic here, Jenga. We don't even need to explain the game. We're just gonna get right to it.
I'm nervous, by the way.
I'm nervous too. It's like the anticipation building. It's like a 5-footer at Augusta, man. You're just like waiting for the carnage. All right, as the leader, and as always, our co-host of honor.
Of course, I gotta go first.
Yeah, exactly. I do like this music in the background.
Dude, this is so intense right now.
Josh the Juice did a good job with that. You went from the middle? One hand, man.
It is one hand. What are you doing?
Man, how are you gonna start cheating already?
My hand is on the table, bro.
Okay.
Oh.
Polk City. I like that.
Oh, he's so good. I won't lie. He's really good at this. No, you're really good at this.
Dun, 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 oh, delicate. No problem, man. No problem. I'm like Phil Mickelson around the greens, man. Just put me in a tough spot. Like it's
Tiger's Day, man. Let's go. Is that the one?
I went for it.
Is that the one?
I went for it now.
Is that the one?
I haven't slid into DMs with that much grace. Oh, look at that. What? How did that stay up? Can I do this? Yeah, see, watch me.
It's already out there.
It's so close, I'm gonna like blow it over.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Come on, man. Let's go, man.
Again.
Let's go. What a great game, by the way, man.
Pretty great. I'm like, I need to like woosah right now.
Honestly, we've done NBA Jam, we've done Skee-Ball y'all did last week. That was like the most fun I've had. It was so intense. Winners win.
The Sports Lounge is brought to you by the Sportsbook at Waterview Casino in Vicksburg, giving you the edge in sports betting.
Not bad for a guy that plays Jenga for the first time, man. That was intense. I mean, it was fun, but it was intense.
This is not supposed to be a trope.
Well,
I'm trying to win here. I thought I had a good game plan. I felt solid about it. I kind of I think I got away from it there in the end. I felt the pressure.
You thought that you stacked the deck against me because I never played.
I underestimated you like Sansa Stark, man.
ISO Joe.
And he tried to pull a fast one on you, but Team Ray comes out on top once again.
Fast one.
This is 4 now. 4 for Team Ray. And, yo, that was an intense game, let me tell you.
Right?
They were getting into it, and you love to see that on Game Time.
Trying to pull a fast one. Come on, man.
Strategy.
All right, let's take a look at put your money where your mouth is, your previous picks, and then get into your picks for this week.
And because I'm going to pick Tiger Woods to win the Masters at 16-1.
Bold move, Cotton.
It's a real bold move,
Real
Cotton.
bold.
So I'm glad we got to cue that up because honestly, when you talk about picking a winner in golf, it's not easy, you know. And this was MacKenzie and I both it was the big event last week, so we had to just pick somebody. But I picked it on our other show, Play It Where It Lies, the golf show, Bash Brothers Media production, and I just to call Tiger and then actually have Tiger win, it was, you don't get that often.
Oh, no doubt. Listen, had I been here, I can't say I would have picked Tiger, but I'm so glad he won. So glad you got that one right. It hurts me in the record, but as a fan, it was awesome. So kudos to you for picking Tiger.
I was proud of that one, man, because a lot of people laughed at me when you picking Tiger Woods. Oh, really, again? But you called it, like I called it 6 months ago. I picked Tiger on the golf show, and then in the sports lounge, right, it was all building to there, and I think Tiger knew he was going to win.
I would not have picked Tiger Woods, but I'm so glad he won. I probably would have picked Ricky Fowler, just because he's one of my favorite golfers, and just I feel like he's due. But man, kudos to you for knocking that one down. That's pretty cool.
Well, what do we got for put your money where your mouth is this week? We got, I guess, NBA playoffs on tap. So you got a pick for us?
I need redemption. That's what I wrote down on my notes. I'm 1-3, so I got to find a way to get back in. After the way the Warriors lost to the Clippers, I don't care what the spread is. I'm taking the Warriors. You can give me a 15-point spread, and I take the Warriors.
It's only 8.5 that they got to cover. It's kind of a big number, man.
It is kind of a big number.
Just beat them in Golden State.
But at the end of the day, when you beat the defending champs the way that you did, and the way that they were kind of lackadaisical in that game, dude, 8.5, I'm taking it. I feel like the Warriors are easily going to cover that. Easily going to cover that because they got so much to prove. You can't. It wouldn't hurt them to go down 2-1, but at the end of the day, you don't want to go down 2-1. So at the end of the day, going Warriors, I'll take the 8.5.
That spread is one of those. It's just like set up ISO Joe for like a bad beat, like a backdoor cover at the end. Like you can see Golden State controlling that game up 11-12 pretty much, and then like Lou Williams throws in a 3 at the buzzer and they win. But like you can see that one coming, right? But it's funny with those NBA games. Like at the end, a couple of threes get thrown in, and it changes the whole line. I'm gonna stay in the NBA, but I'm gonna actually. This number stuck out to me a little bit because guys, Philly is better than Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They are unquestionably better than Brooklyn.
Question.
And I know Brooklyn beat them in game 1, but Philly just -3? I mean, I think they're at least, and I know it's on the road, but like the Barclays Center, it's like Brooklyn, it's not exactly the Oracle, you know, or the Rose Garden back in the day.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Philly bounced back after game 1 and scored, I think, about 150 in game 2. So this game is Thursday night, but I think the Philadelphia 76ers is going to go on the road and prove that they are not just better than Brooklyn, but in that different league as like championship contender and like, you know, solid playoff team. I'm going to go with the Sixers -3 in Brooklyn. We'll see if we can't keep the streak alive.
Winners win on this side. I got to give it to you. You are hot when it comes to the Stone Cold pick. I got some work to do, so we'll see next week. You know who got it done.
It's funny that we're like trending in opposite directions in the picks and the game time. But I tell you what is trending is the Sports Lounge, man. Through 5-6 weeks now, really excited about this show and having you in the Sports Lounge and ISO Joe and Hack and Hank and Josh the Juice. Good job by that. But I think I'm really happy to have our audience, and I can feel everybody being in the Sports Lounge more every week.
Yeah, this thing is growing, man. And we're bringing in hot topics, obviously. Great segments, if you ask me, man. The Table for Two is going to be something that's going to be here to stay. Y'all keep sticking in with us, man, because this thing is just getting better and better. And as the seasons progress, as we go from basketball to baseball to football, we're going to have so much cool stuff to talk about, man. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited for the NBA playoffs.
No
I mean,
doubt.
and a couple of guests we got coming up in the next couple of weeks to really, as you turn the page fully from March Madness and now, certainly the Masters. And we'll pay attention to college baseball baseball, certainly with Mississippi State, and in this state, all 3 teams making a run in the NCAA. But yeah, the NBA playoffs, and then before you know it, late July, you start that football countdown. So it'll be here in the Sports Lounge every week. Again, you can get us on Twitter at Bash Bros Media, where we'll post the show every Thursday. Also, you can see the show Facebook.com/Bash Brothers Media, and as well on our YouTube page at Bash Brothers Media. Ray Coleman,
My man.
always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Television Zone, big thanks to David Brent for joining us. Team Sands, you fight, we fight, man. We're thinking of you. We love you. We're praying for you. For ISO Joe, Hack and Hank, Josh the Juice, this is the Sports Lounge.